Hello, I am David Swansbuckle.
And I'm Warren Spector.
If you're not certain about something I said yesterday, ask. We'll happily make it clear. Anyway, I've repeated it again.
We're liberals. Yeah. Have your guardian. Yeah. So we're coming to you live from our ivory towers. In central London, and not at all anywhere near Birmingham.
No.
The Illuminati rang us up last night, and what did they tell you to say?
There were several news items this week. Actually, it's been quite a good news week. It started with Cameron telling
Sling your hook.
all these ministers that
If you don't agree with me...
if you don't agree with me on the EU, you're out of there, son.
Yeah.
Which obviously poses a problem for a few of his cabinet members.
But then...
A day later, he wheeled back. I thought he was doing a show of strength when he was saying, follow me or die. I thought it was a reflection of the general election, sort of his the idea that he can walk on water now because he's delivered an overall majority.
Yeah.
But obviously it didn't last very long, and the divisions in the Conservative Party are already starting to show themselves. So we've had unity for a couple of weeks following the general election, and it's all gone horribly.
And of course. Well, the thing about it was that when David Cameron suddenly changed his mind, he didn't say, I've changed my mind. He said, oh, well, you got it wrong.
And when I said it on Mara, there wasn't the same reaction as there was yesterday, which is why I thought it was important to repeat again today, to put it beyond doubt, that I'm talking about the process of renegotiation.
Yeah, you got it wrong.
It's your fault.
Everyone in this room got it wrong, misinterpreted what I said, which was perfectly clear. And
You weren't listening.
You weren't listening hard enough. He gets a hell of a lot of leeway, though. Could you imagine Gordon Brown doing that?
I know. We'd still be in the news every day.
There'll be 6 pages dedicated to it every day.
Yeah.
Like how useless Gordon Brown is.
He's a liar.
And he's got one eye. And
Can't see having one eye.
so yeah, that started the week. And the week's kind of finished on more Euro news. Greece.
The IMF never leaves the table. We remain engaged, but the ball is very much in Greece's court.
Is heading to the brink as the IMF pull out of negotiations. How do you feel about Greece?
I think, obviously they had these people voted in who talk the lefty talk.
Ordinary people lost loads and loads of money. Look for the people that have got loads of bonuses and loads of money. They're the people that are criminal. Those are the people that need to be prosecuted. And whilst to a degree we have to placate the city because our economy is built on it, don't you think it's happened a bit too much that they can behave in this rampaging manner while ordinary people continue to suffer? I think that we need to see punitive measures immediately employed so that it doesn't continue to recur. Not just because of some weird lefty agenda, but because if there are not penalties, the behaviour will happen cyclically.
In so many ways, and said, it's all imaginary, all this debt is imaginary. They seemed to be playing the game after that, and they supposedly they did say, like, only 2 weeks ago, yeah, that money's going to be there, we're going to do that. And then suddenly said, oh no, we're not doing that, sorry. So it seems to be played, maybe they were stalling, or I don't know. I don't really know the details.
I mean, we're haggling over a relatively small amount of money compared to the rest of the Greek debt, something like 7 billion, which is big money in real terms, but actually when you compare it to the rest of the Greek debt, it's quite small.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of fuss over this, because it looks like Greece might actually be willing to default on its payment.
And the reason why the people are with us is because this is the first time we have a Greek government prepared to bargain all the way to the wire.
Which could cause a little bit of upset.
Yeah, and I can understand the position of wanting to default on the payments, but if they've agreed to do it, they should do it. If they should have said from the start, we're not going to do that. There's a bit of playing going on which I don't like.
Yeah, but there is a lot of you will do this, you will do that going on from the IMF and other creditors. When realistically, there is a flip side to it. The Greek government who racked up all this debt were obviously crazy, and the Greek people are paying the price for it. What about the people who lent them that money? Well, It was so obvious that the Greek situation was overinflated, that it wasn't a competitive country, and that it was going to struggle, and yet they just lent and lent and lent all this money. Where's the flip side for them? These people are refusing to write off that money now. It seems that the Greek people are suffering the consequences of that profligacy in the run up to the crash, and yet the people who speculated, though it was money driven, aren't expected to shoulder any of the blame for that.
Yeah, that's...
There's no recognition from the IMF or the Eurobank about that at all, and I think if the IMF and the European Bank and other financial institutions started accepting that and actually made some kind of statement that the creditors got to shoulder some of the blame, then we may get somewhere.
Yeah, which is unlikely to happen.
Yeah.
But I am responsible for getting the best deal now for the taxpayer and doing whatever I can to support the British economy. There is no doubt that starting to sell the government stake in RBS is the right thing to do on both counts.
The RBS, latest RBS thing that we own RBS, so George Osborne's going to sell it to his mates.
Yeah.
At a loss.
At a loss.
Yeah, to us, not to him.
Yeah. The loss is being declared at roughly $7 billion.
Now, they are proposing £12 billion a year of welfare cuts. You are proposing...
It's interesting, I heard 13.
Well, $7 billion is if you factor in all the fines they've had to pay for mismanagement and doing things illegally.
Yeah.
Then it only cost us $7 billion.
That's all right.
Yeah, which actually, when you look on the face of it, it was a lucky escape because I think the IMF, they took an estimate how much it actually cost us to keep the banks going, and it was in the order of 1.3 trillion or something like that.
Mm.
So $7 billion lost from that isn't a great deal, but it violates his principles. He stated quite categorically that he would sell RBS off when it could support the economy, i.e. continue trading and pay money and support the economy, and that he would get value for the taxpayer.
Yeah, you'd think that. I mean, that's the centre of his ideologies. You sell high. Yeah. Surely, that's his entire the main thing that George Osborne should be doing. And here he is just selling it to his mates.
The story is that Mark Carney has advised that now's a good time, and there may be further risks incurred if we don't sell off now. But it's very difficult to get an actual quantification of that, what those risks are and why.
This didn't happen before the election. I don't know if that's significant or not.
No.
Whether there was people stopping them from doing that before the election.
People from the Bank of England are starting to say that interest rate rises are looking increasingly likely as we move from negative inflation back to positive inflation.
Yeah.
That will have a big knock-on effect for the economy. Everyone who thinks everything's rosy when interest rates start rising.
It was an illusion.
Lunchtime doubly so. Oh, we're so liberal, aren't we?
Liberals, the Guardian.
All that white guilt running through my veins.
Yeah. We hate Britain.
Yeah.
By talking about how great Britain is and how it should continue with those traditions, we hate Britain.
Peace.
Peace. Our left-wing overlords will ring us up next week and tell us awful stuff about peace again.
Yeah.
Until then, we'll see you then. That wasn't a sentence.